I will do my presentation in English, as my dear colleague said it so. It's an international, and we have some people from other languages, so it will be much better. What I will talk about will be ecological approach in the urban planning and urban design, and then from scale of 5,000 to the scale of 1 of appliance, how to approach it to reach using of natural building materials to become more of a trend or more of a everyday thing right now, because we are sort of became a radical bunch that there is not much of us. Even this salon is only filled with the speakers themselves, so we are literally us to each other. And how can we get over this obstacle that people are being so numb about this? I feel myself like most of the time that someone who is saying I don't smoke because it's so dangerous to your health, and nobody is listening. Everybody says oh, it's just I do it time. So what's the harm of it? But it is in the long term, the harm is really bad, and it's really hard to explain it to the people. Even as a casual smoker, I'm saying this. So anyhow, what I tried to do after our many projects with my father, trying to make this approach to little bit formalized, to make it become more like a guideline for everybody to which steps to take. And I was actually wishing some people from the local governments to be here, so them to listen. I'm trying to explain this because this is very important for the local governments, for the municipalities especially, then to the ministries and other bodies of the government. So there are steps of these. This is actually steps of literally how right now civilization is building their cities, building their environments. But what we are trying to do is trying to approach this as a holistic problem, because as you can see, the first two is mostly the problem of the urban designers or urban planners, but it should be a problem of everybody's, and they don't care about the other scales, as the architects doesn't care about the 5,000 and the 1,000 scales. So when we approach this whole thing as one, then we can get over all of those obstacles that I was mentioning in the. So there are some methods of applications that I create that it's about creating a story and defining a design philosophy about your whole design method of the city. Now, as architects, mostly we apply this for the small spaces, for houses or for some other public buildings, but that's what we should do while we are designing our cities. As as many 1,000 years ago, the people were doing already. They were approaching the city with some idea, with some philosophy. I mean, they were doing it out of necessity because they didn't have any other, they didn't know anything else. I'm not saying anything better, because right now, with nowadays that we are seeing our cities, actually not that much successful more than the ancient cities. I mean, especially the quality of life wise. So after creating a philosophy, you define a design language, and this language is actually how and which materials that you are going to use and you would like them to use in their design. So with the language, then you start to speak different things. So what I'm trying to say is defining a design language that literally talks about the materials, because that's the language that we use, that's the language that we apply in the designs, in not only for the architectures, but mostly also even for the industrial designers, that goes the same. So with the same language, if we define a language for the area, for the city or for the urban area, then people, the designers, can tell their own stories with the same language. And then these are some examples, as most of you might know. And then with the language, you create a dictionary. This dictionary I'm talking about is actually a design guideline. I'm not going to get into too much of details, but this is one guide that we created for city of Gaziantep at like 15 years ago. It actually came out, and at the G20 summit in Japan in 2019 in Osaka, it showcased to all of the other countries as a successful implement. But that's very unfortunate because not only it recognized literally 10 years after its implementation, but it is still the only example in the world. This is not something good. This is not something like, oh, we did, but even the area that this guide is implemented, it's not working very well. And the reason is because in this guideline we were being very scientific. We were thinking and we were applying all the things, and it didn't work. It didn't sit with the public. So, like when these are other small details. I'm not small details, but they are general details about urban designing, and This is the key point of why our first guideline didn't work out. Because we didn't give any training to the public servants or education society, the academicians and other people. And that's why it never been worked, because the people who supposed to talk about this, who supposed to use this guideline, didn't even know this guideline was existing. So this is right now for me, as I can say, all the other things might be essential for the guide itself, but this is the key point of the guideline to stay alive, to be able to go on for many years. So after creating our guidelines, then we start to applying it to the real life. These are our real life projects that we applied these literal steps one by one in the areas. So the first one is the 5,000 scale of urban design, and you create your concept literally being harmonized with the nature itself and with the area's topography itself. And then it actually, when you do that, design literally shows itself. You don't have to put any grids, you don't have to go through and like, oh, I need to destruct this, or I need to put more of soil over there and other things. So in the guidelines, when you give the guides to the people who will use these, and when your design also gives itself with the nature and that topography over there by itself, everything actually develops very easily. So after that comes the urban implementation, zoning plans. This is a must, and over here, this is another key point why the projects doesn't stay alive. I really wish that somebody was from the local governments here, because right now it will be like a talking to a mirror, because we all know not to allow any capitalist not to put the priority as a profit. If you put the profit as your priority rather than the quality of human life in the urban area that you are designing, then it will be another key point that it will be the die at the table at all. Like it's not gonna stay alive, and that's what we are having through all of those new civilized and the hyped urban areas. So this it comes at this point, at this step, that you have to be careful and not to step back from the quality of the urban life that you are designing. So after this scale, it's a bit easier for a designer, because then you start to design your own site. This is where the architects mostly come in. And then here what we are trying to say, of course, this sort of permacultural zoning is not that possible in the urban areas, but if you were already thinking about this from the beginning of the bigger scales, then you might have enough space for your environment that you are designing that you can start zoning, even in the urban areas. Because like for a family to live and in a rural area or semi-rural, like suburban areas, that like a 5,000 meter is a 5,000 square meter is not such a big scale, and then like you can apply your zones very easily. And from this side concepts, especially these also comes if you are designing for more than one building, that water collection system and the filtering system, so you can reuse the water more than once. And these are also 1 to 200 scales. I'm trying to be push the gas right now to be able to finish on time. And it's mostly about where to and how to put the. As you can see, the point it will come in the end. When you approach your design, when you approach to the urban planning and urban design holistically, when you consider all of these points at once, then you start to create somewhere like livable, literally, and sustainable, literally sustainable, because we start using sustainable word so many times and so much in our lives, it's literally losing its effect and its meaning. So this is the same photo from my father's presentation. This is from that village that he missed to say, and I would like to add. These workers were cleaning a team of the municipality itself, and we suggest the municipality to use these workers in a better implementation and give them another skill set so they can use them anytime they would like. And they learned this job. They loved it so much. When they had to leave the project, they start to talk about funding their own company, start doing this business instead of still working in the municipality. I mean, I don't think it will happen, but it gave that much of inspiration to the people that you wouldn't even think of anything will come out. So this is another project of ours. This is also this is not natural or earth-based materials, but this is whole using the waste material. This is another key point, of course, in the if you are a local government municipality, to think about your waste management. So at the end, as I say, let's make ecological approach in the urban design cool again with earth-based materials. This would be the easiest thing because earth is everywhere. We are literally on the plant of earth, so it's the most local and the sustainable material. So we should go on in that. Thank you very much.